Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi Neha.
Hi, Neha.
Hello. I can't see Sunita. um, okay. Maybe she will join in shortly. Okay. All right. So maybe we will begin. Um, Hello, everyone. The weather is really, really nice. So I thought I'll do a sunny welcome to all those who are joining us for this special event today. My name is Neha Khandelwal, and I'm the founder of Indian Women's Circle Community. Many of you already know me. For those who are joining us for the very first time, I would like to take this opportunity to share a little bit about our Indian Women's Circle. So, Indian Women's Circle was founded in 2015 and is one of its kind group, a close knit and a trusted community of 3,700 plus Indian women in Greater Toronto area. 5 years ago, I was on my mat leave and with my first son, and I was new to Mississauga and had no family here in Canada. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this scenario. I was completely overwhelmed with all the aspects of being a first time mom, being new in an area, and was longing for friends and for women to women connection. And that's how and when Indian Women's Circle was born. So, Indian Women's Circle's vision and mission always has been first to provide a platform to create meaningful social connections and provide socialization opportunities through in person or virtual meetups and events. Second, to create a platform to seek and share day-to-day vital information ranging from, buying a house or information about schools, kids' activities, to even things like, where's the grocery store. Third is to empower and support our Indian women entrepreneurs through our business directory website by bringing exposure to their businesses and to them as entrepreneurs. And last but not the least, to support the cause for spreading the awareness for maternal mental health by partnering with a global organization. And today's event is an attempt to support this very cause and to bring light to some very, very important conversations that impact a mother's health. So let's dive in. Okay, a woman goes through multitude of emotions during her pregnancy or after her pregnancy, right? So before being a mother, in the process of being a mother, or after becoming a mother, and a mother's maternal mental health, is critical not only for her own self but also for those who are around her. So, through today's event, through our special guests, we want to start these conversations, share our stories that you might relate to, or someone you know might relate to, reinforce that these feelings are natural, and support those who might need to just hear this today. I also want to mention that I will be your host today and also be looking at the comments that you might be sharing. So use our comment feature to ask questions if you have for our panelists, or if at any point in time you relate to our conversation, or if you have felt that emotion sometime, please use the reaction feature or add in the comments, your own thought or story actually. Last but not the least, I want to add a disclaimer that we are not providing any sort of medical advice here or a medical solution here. This is more about raising awareness for a mother's mental health and talking about certain things that we feel as women, right? So that's our main motto for this event today. And with that, I would like to welcome our three very, very special guests. And I have with me Dr. Nirmala Chandrasekaran, who is an obstetrician and maternal and fetal medicine specialist at St. Michael's Hospital and also assistant professor at University of Toronto. Welcome, Nirmala.
Thank you.
We have Sonal with us. Sonal is our group member. Lots and lots of people already know you, Sonal. And Sonal is here today to share her very, very empowering, I would say, an inspiring postpartum journey story, how she overcame that. So really, really excited to hear that. And also Sunita Sinha, who is a certified mental fitness and life coach at GG. And I am thinking, oh, there she is. I will add her. Hi, Sunita.
Bye.
Lost you for a second. So Welcome, welcome. And first of all, I want to say thank you so much for supporting this cause and agreeing to come on this panel and talking about these, important, and essential conversations. So let's dive in. I will be keeping an eye on our comments as well during our discussion. So I will pass it on to Sonal. Sonal, invite you. I'm inviting you to share. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then also share how you determined that you were having postpartum depression or baby blues and all of that. Please, over to you.
Thank you, Neha, and happy sunny afternoon to everybody. As Neha mentioned, yes, the story is a little long, and it happened back in 2013. So, when it's come to my introduction, I'm working as a product development manager here in a neurotech company, and I always been very active and very much working woman. And I start my story from where the changes started happen. So in 2012, I shifted to Australia. Within a month of landing, I was pregnant. It was a surprise pregnancy, not prepared at all, and alone in a foreign country. It was a very, very different experience because everything was new to me. Even I don't know if I was mentally prepared for it or not. I just have this message like you are pregnant from doctor. Everybody is elated. Everybody is so happy in the house that I didn't have a time to have a second thought or anything like that. But as many of women will relate to it, it's not easy. Yes, you're happy and everything, it's happening so fast, you don't have time to think. Then everything, I enrolled myself from baby center, all the Dr. Google, as Neha says, whatever he and Google was telling me, I was doing it. I enrolled me for these weekly email newsletters which were coming to my inbox. I was reading them thoroughly. Some people prescribed me some books and I started reading, and all of them was about to how the fetus is developing, how the baby is developing. Even my parents, my in-laws, everybody was telling me what to do, so on what not to do, so you will not harm baby, even from the details of how you're sleeping. So it was all about baby, baby, baby. And I was okay with it because I don't experience anything otherwise. So I was perfectly fine. I was thinking everything's going good. I'm great. And doctor saying your pregnancy is proceeding very well, everything. But I have been a hypothyroid patient since I was 14 years old. So there were a lot of changes that started happening in my body, which I say little unfortunate that no doctor, nobody told me that Sonal, it's just not baby developing in your uterus. There will be a lot of other things happening in your body. From your brain to your blood work, everything will be happening simultaneously. Somehow I delivered my baby when I was 36 weeks pregnant, and it was like in the morning, I wake up, water broke, rush to the emergency C-section, and I have this baby who is preemie. Though he was good, he can breathe by himself. He was not taken to the neonatal care or anything, but he was tiny. He was 2.3 kgs. And that mother instinct kicked. Oh my God, what happened? What I am going to do with this baby? How I'm going to make him healthy? And my parents and my in-laws, eat this, do that, produce more milk, give more milk. And after C-section, the milk doesn't kick in immediately. It took me more than 24 hours to get a little supply, and after 48 hours, the supply was there, but it was not enough for the baby. So, baby was crying, he was hungry, he was colic, so everything was happening at one go. And I was baffled. I don't know how to react to the things. And my mom said to me, "Oh, how much time you take to pump? And then you get only half bottle? What are you doing? You eat this, drink water more, everything." Some relatives they came and they were like, "Oh, your baby is so small and you are so big," because from 58 kgs I become 82 kg during my pregnancy. So baby looked so small in your hands, and I was like, "Oh my God." Somebody telling me, "Don't eat spice. I wanted to eat some food," and they were like, "No, you cannot eat spice. It will come into your milk and it will not good for the baby. Baby is already colic. You will get the gas." So even after giving the birth, it's all about the baby. And I was doing everything because that's what I saw, that what I learned. So I was like, everything's okay. I was not taking off my care of myself. Nobody told me. And I also want to like whole of my pregnancy, 36 week, I was doing yoga every day, at least 1 hour to 2 hours. I was doing yoga. I was singing. I was listening to good music, so the kids' brain neurons can fuse, and he born with that extra mileage. Or you can't imagine the kind of things I read and I did. But end of the day, how I was feeling, even I was not taking care of myself. Then the thing happened that I wanted to control everything in my house, because that's what I was always doing. That's what I seen my mom doing, that she's taking charge of home. She's cooking, she's cleaning, she's doing everything. And in a foreign land, you land with the mindset, oh, now I will not get a maid servant. I have to do everything on my own. And I was doing. My husband was very happy that I'm doing everything. And I was very happy that I'm taking charge of the house. And that thing never ended. It's continued, continued. My mom came to Australia to help me out. But unfortunately, within a month of her landing, she slipped and broke a bone in her leg. So she was on the bed. She couldn't move. She had a cast. So I end up taking care of not just the baby, husband, father, mother. So I was the one person who was taking care of all of them, all their needs, cooking 4 meals in a day, cleaning house. I asked for help. So my father started cleaning the house on the weekends. My husband was also doing tidbits, but it was not enough. And the worst part of it, that I was even not aware that it was not enough. I thought it's just run that way. With new baby, you have to make adjustment. Life is not going to be same, so it's okay. We kind of trying to make adjustment. My son was 13 months old, and I was still breastfeeding. Got a very bad cold and fever, so I went to my general physician there. And when he looked at me, he asked me, Sonal, how are you feeling? And I cannot explain you enough, because nobody asked me in that depth, how are you feeling from last 13 months or maybe before that. And I started crying. I started crying because I have no answer. I couldn't say I'm good. I couldn't say I'm okay. I couldn't say I'm bad. I was just crying, crying, crying. And he said, and I was like feeling sorry why I'm crying in front of him. I just came here for a congestion medicine. So he said, don't feel bad. I understand. And here's the contact details. Somebody will call from my office, and you are into a postnatal depression. And honestly, by that time, I never heard these 3 words. What is postnatal depression? Because I stopped reading about the pregnancy and all that when the pregnancy is done. After that, I was reading how to handle the baby. So I don't know what alien words are these. And I went back to Dr. Google again. I searched for it, I looked for it, and I was like, oh, I'm not alone. And it's not that uncommon. I had a conversation with my husband about it, and he said, you know what? This depression and everything is Gora things. It happens. So our life will be okay. It's you are the first time mother, and you always been very independent. You are not a homely person who's sitting home and doing chores. Now you have to do it. So it's just a life. Let's go for a vacation. And I said, yeah, he might be right. I went for a vacation for 10 days. I came back, I was sick. I was not myself. And the breaking point came that one night I was so, I will say, frustrated. I was so tired that it was a breaking point for me, because I took my son, went to the room, locked it, and didn't allow my husband to come in. I said, no, you cannot come near me or baby, because you don't understand what's happening to us. And I cannot leave my baby, because I am in a charge. At that point, my husband said, no, I think you need to go. And we agreed. And then the counseling started, which I went for 8 months. And I had roughly around 9 to 10 sessions. Last 3 sessions were couple therapy, and it changed my life forever.
Wow. Oh my God.
I
Like,
know it's
honestly, I'm
not
having goosebumps because I'm sure, like, everyone who's there on this call right now, I'm pretty sure we can relate to something or the other. 100%. I agree. And, I was showing some of the comments, and it literally is like, I want to show it to you. That, looks like you're sharing my story. I can so relate. And it's like, oh my God, Sonal, can totally relate to how everyone around you have something to say. And someone saying like, never got a chance to do so. Spent 4 months on recliner with my little one so that everyone can sleep properly. Nobody bothered to ask me. So oh my God, I can't tell you. This is
So to all of you,
exactly
I understand.
right. We are conditioned, I think, in that way as a woman, and also I think there is some aspect of cultural conditioning that you have to take care of everybody around you. You are a nurturing mom or a woman, and you have to think first about your family and then yourself. And I think we subconsciously do that,
Yeah,
right? So, oh
we
my
all
God,
become our own moms. The way
yeah.
how much we try not to become like her, but end of the day, we do become like them.
Absolutely, absolutely. At this point, I would like to invite Dr. Nirmala and ask her that you being an obstetrician and especially dealing in the high risk pregnancies here in in Toronto, you might come across these situations, I think, very very often. Please share first of all a little bit about yourself, and then also about how much impact all of this has on the mental health of a mother.
Right. So first of all, Neha, incredible effort. I should actually congratulate you for choosing this topic. Okay, this is a very untreaded path. Nobody wants to talk about this. So I'm really, really happy you chose the path, chose this topic, and I'm happy to be here. My name is Nirmala Chandrasekharan. I'm one of the high risk obstetricians in downtown Toronto. One of my special interests is maternal mental health, and to the extent that I actually work alongside a perinatal psychiatrist in my high risk clinic. So I have a lot of women who actually go through their pregnancy journey with either pre existing maternal mental health issues or the ones that develop during pregnancy. Now, I can relate to everything that Sonal said because this is exactly what I hear. And as you rightly said, it's cultural conditioning also. All the pregnant women, they actually Google a lot. As Sonal said, Dr. Google, they talk to people, or people come and talk to you. They're like unsolicited advice. You wouldn't even ask them. They'll come and tell you lots of things, and then you'd be Googling about, okay, what do I eat? Can I eat sushi? Can I sleep on my left side? Can I sleep on my right side? Can I have sex? Can I exercise? What does this mean for my pregnancy? Can I use this medication? Can I have my allergy medications during pregnancy? But nobody thinks about mental health and the importance of it because it's just not something that we think commonly. And honestly speaking, about 10 to 15% of women in pregnancy will have clinically significant depression or anxiety symptoms. And that's clinically significant, right? Whereas 1 in 5 women will have some amount of anxiety and depression in pregnancy. That's very, very, very common. But what is more interesting is that only 20% of these women will undergo treatment. So the rest of the 80% are just quietly going through what Sonal went through. It's either that it's because of a lot of myths actually during pregnancy, right? I mean, the most important thing is, it's just pregnancy is one of the most happiest times in one's life. And these are young women going through pregnancy. Depression and anxiety is something that happens in middle aged or older age, not for somebody as young as you. Completely wrong. And the second thing is, this is probably symptoms of pregnancy. You can't sleep, you have sort of loss of libido, no energy. That's because you're pregnant. May not be at all. It could be related to clinically significant anxiety or depression. And the other thing is, it's a woman of childbearing age. You are not vulnerable to developing any of these mental health things because you have your family, you have this, you have that. And why would you even actually get depressed? What is your reason to get depressed? There's a lot of reasons to get depressed. And the other thing is, this is all hormonal. You're just hormonal. Well, hormones do play a part in majority of your emotions, but it's not everything is hormonal, right? I mean, hormones do not help with your pre-existing anxiety or depression, but it's not everything is hormonal. And the other most important thing is, oh, I should not be taking any medications during pregnancy. I actually stopped taking coffee during pregnancy. Why would I take medications during pregnancy? And what people do not understand is, I always tell my patients, you know what, when it comes to medications in pregnancy, it's never medication versus no medication, right? It's medication versus active condition. What is worse? An active condition, if it is worse, you better take that medication in order to protect yourself and your pregnancy, right? And the most important thing is, untreated anxiety and depression is harmful for both the mother and the fetus. We think about a baby all the time. In fact, if you're not treating your mental health properly, you're not doing good to your pregnancy or to the baby, unfortunately. So that's what you have to think. And untreated anxiety and depression can lead on to a lot of things, like preterm birth, for instance, low birth weight, and also, neurodevelopmental outcomes for even the babies and infants after they are born. Maladaptations, neurodevelopmental delays, and most importantly, if you look at the UK and Ireland, they publish what happens to mothers and why they die every 3 years, and you can see how postpartum depression leading to suicide is the biggest cause of maternal loss during after pregnancy. And that is why it is very, very important to recognize your condition, talk to your obstetrician. Many times it's like, no, I don't want to disturb her. I don't want to waste her time. I know my baby is fine. I've had the heartbeat. Everything is okay. And I feel okay. I passed my sugar test. Da, da, da. Let me just come out and I'm okay. But actually have that conversation, open up. Many times they may not be able to get your nonverbal cues, especially because we live in a pandemic. There are visits that are limited to virtual versus coming in, going and seeing your doctor. So sometimes I do think that when I'm not seeing the person face to face, am I missing a lot of verbal cues? So be open about it, talk to them, and it is important to have that open conversation. I mean, it could be your hormones at the end of the day, but at least let us assess you and make sure that you're okay, right? And again, when it comes to postpartum, the same thing happens. Oh, it's blues. It's everybody goes through it. It's just a fancy word used. It's not, or not everything is postpartum depression. Well, postpartum blues is a common thing for sure. Not almost all of us go through it. But depression is a more severe form of postpartum blues. And most of the times, the problem is not the depression. The problem is not recognizing it. And it is just, and that's because we don't even think about it. We don't want to think about it, right? I mean, it's like, oh yeah, the baby is here. I have help. I need to be, as Sonal said, I need to be in charge of everything. And when the baby sleeps, this is the time I have to do my laundry. I have to do, change my sheets, go do my vessels. Why? And that is something that we have to just kind of work on it, really. But most important thing is recognizing how important it is to actually have good mental health during and after pregnancy also. I mean, it's not just postpartum, it happens during pregnancy also, and that actually leads on to postpartum depression or gets worsened. And recently I've started implementing something called as a 5-day 5-night program in our hospital, whereby we actually keep the patient in the hospital for 5 days and 5 nights. So we take the baby out as soon as the baby gets fed, so the patients can get some sleep, because sleep is very, very important also at that point of time. And you just don't think of yourself, when was the last time you had a good sleep? Oh, I don't know. After your delivery. So it's very, very important to recognize your symptoms. Not all your symptoms are hormonal. Yes, hormones are there, it rages up and down, but that doesn't mean it can cause depression and suicidality, right? And that is the most important thing to start off with.
You said it so rightly. I also feel that the word stress, anxiety, mental health, depression, they are so heavy words. And I, like, raised in India, I have not been accustomed to talk about these words, right? I mean, I'm sure we can relate to it, but when you hear about all of these things, you feel like, okay, I'm not sick or anything, right?
Yeah.
Like you talk about depression. So I guess what I'm also learning in my own pregnancies, like I have two kids, I'm learning in my own pregnancies, my own experiences, that it's not necessary, like you said, the severe form of depression that needs to be recognized. It could be a very simpler form of it as well. Okay?
Absolutely.
And you can treat it very easily by maybe relaxing yourself, or maybe talking to someone, or just talking to your doctor about it, right? I actually remember a very important point you raised about the verbal cues, and when you see a person. I actually remember during my first pregnancy with my son, my OB, she saw me and she's like, Neha, are you okay? I was literally in tears and I had no idea why. I was like, I don't know, this is just too much to handle. My baby was not even born. And I actually had a tailbone issue in between my pregnancy, so I couldn't sit for 3 weeks. So that was like, I was paranoid. I was like, oh my God, am I never going to sit or what? And I was literally overwhelmed and I cried in front of her. And she was like, Neha, are you okay? I was like, I don't know what's happening. So she literally gave me a form. I still remember. She gave me a form. There were, I think, 10 questions on that form, and I had to answer it. And thankfully, like, I was not in that depression category. But she said, okay, you're good for now, but you need to tell me if you feel certain things, again.
Right.
And that gave me it was a light bulb moment that, I need to relax. I need to not overthink, and I need to trust my doctor. I think that is another learning I've had in my second pregnancy. And my second pregnancy was even harder in the sense that I was 4 months pregnant and I lost my dad at that time. It was really, really, really hard emotionally. And my relatives used to say that, don't cry because it's going to impact your baby. And now, how is that possible? Like, it's the worst thing that could happen to you in this life. And so that was like emotional. And honestly, at that point, I feel talking to my friends, my really close friends, was my way out, because I could just share anything I could feel at that moment in time, right? And I think that's what was also part of me taking care of my mental health. And there could be 10,000 incidents like this, all of us who are moms must have experienced, right? So talking about them is just so important, and not taking this whole thing as a depression or a certain sickness or a disease or something. Let's just think that, we are just taking care of our health, and mental health is part of it. Like, as we do yoga for physical thing,
Right.
relaxing or having a coffee chat with a friend is also a relaxation. And let's say it out loud, right?
Well, 100%. That is another myth, right? If I say something, then it's actually a stigma, especially in our culture. It's a total stigma. I'm not sick. I just maybe this is hormone. I'm just feeling low, and it's not. If I say that to the doctor, they're going to put me on medications. Not necessarily at all. So even just having that conversation, and your doctor could assess you and say, you know what, this is not depression. Yours could be grief, right? And that's okay. And we could help you tide that over and hold your hands, so at least we can just calm you down from the pregnancy standpoint, because the other added layer for you is your pregnancy. Oh my God, I'm asked not to cry. If I cry, then I'm going to harm my baby, so I will be responsible for that. So
Yes,
at least we can take that off your mind, right?
absolutely.
So conversations are very, very important.
Absolutely. At this point, I would like to invite Sonal again. And Sonal, share with us that, how you overcame this. What did you do about it when you knew that now you had, postpartum depression?
So, as I mentioned earlier, that doctor referred me to a counselor, and this counselor is actually become a blessing in life. So, after the initial teething period and everything, I started going to her, and she started counseling me in the sense she didn't ask me. The best point was with her, she didn't ask me how I'm feeling, what is happening. She kind of like asked me for my daily routine. What are you doing from morning to night? So she kind of make a profile for myself, like how I'm channelizing my energies to the different things in my life, what I'm doing, not asking what I'm feeling and everything. And then by the second session, she started speaking and she started telling me what I'm feeling. And I was like, yeah, Yes, this is happening to me. Yes, I don't know what to do. I just feel I don't know when to make myself stop. I'm just doing the work. I'm doing the work. And it's such a schedule, because with the little ones and the first time, you always heard about this schedule. Make a schedule. They have to wake up at 7. You have to feed them by 7:30. You have to go for their poo for 12. And nap need to happen at 12:30. Kids, and especially in foreign countries, because here the concept is that kids are going on the bed at 7. So I am, and everybody's telling me, if you don't put the right habits now, you are the one who's going to suffer. So I'm running. I'm just following that clock every time. I have to do this. I have to wake up that. And meanwhile, I'm not getting a good sleep. Maybe 3 hours, 4 hours. So my anxiety level was so high that my blood pressure rose to 196. And I was like on verge of, like, the doctor and the nurses were like, why didn't you get a stroke? Why didn't you get a heart attack? How you are surviving right now? Because 196, it was too much. But they give me just anti-anxiety medicine so I can sleep a night. Straight 7 hours, 8 hours. That's all I needed to get my blood pressure down. So this happened, and then this lady, my counselor, she's starting counseling me. Not Neha, that was a fantastic thing that she actually talked about few things from my childhood, and which I never shared to anybody. And what I felt that time, because my psychology, my whole system, and my whole, like, how I'm treating people around me, how I treating myself, is based on my psychology from my childhood. So she took me back there, and she was like, something like this happened to you. Your brother was like little, he was just pushing you in the corners, and he was bullying you. And I was like, oh, I didn't know this thing is called bullying. I thought he's just an elder brother who just like, oh, I'm telling you this and you have to do it. I didn't know that I was bullied at home. She told me, yes, you were. And why you trying to take the in charge, or you trying to be in control of everything, that your baby is eating at that time, your husband is getting this and this, because I've seen my mom. And unconsciously, I was following her, because as a lady of the house, as an Indian woman who's a representation of a goddess, who has 10 hands and she can do 10 jobs at one, I'm trying to do that. Where I am just a woman. I'm an individual. I have to be softer to myself. I have to love myself. And this was the biggest problem in my life. How can someone love themselves? I can love my husband. I can love my parents. I can love my kid. I can love my friends. But how I love myself? Should I sit in front of a mirror and praise myself? Like, how does it work? I didn't know. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the method to love myself. And then she told me, loving yourself is not about praising yourself or anything. It's just putting yourself not in that pedestal that you are responsible for something, but putting your needs and saying it aloud that, yes, Sonal, I need a break. If you don't fold the sheets today, it's okay. Nothing's going to happen. There are no Hiroshima is happening again. It's all fine. If you don't do the laundry today and your bucket is like overflowing, it's okay. Just organize it, keep it in the side, and you can do it tomorrow. If your baby is not eating the full meal, 2 chapatis today, it's fine. Let him eat 1 chapati, he will survive, you will survive. Tomorrow will be a new day. If you want to go out, take that time out, go out. Then she explained me communication is very important. So I was not communicating. I was like, my husband is not taking care. He's not cooking food. He's not doing that. She said very nicely that when you married this man, did you ask him, can you cook? I want to marry a chef. Did you sit down? And I said, no. You married a human being. Accept him the way he is. Not necessarily all men can cook. Not necessarily all women can cook. But you guys are not like one unit. She said, you are two different individuals who are living in a unit. And you have to, as a 50-50 partners, have to make it work. If your husband doesn't want to cook, that's fine. But that doesn't make you have to cook for him. If you don't want to cook for him today, say it. I don't feel like cooking. Can you order something from outside? Can you do something? And it's okay if your husband is not eating that typical Indian food every day. He can have sandwiches, he can have pasta, and he will survive, believe me. And I was like, yeah. And my husband was also sitting there when it was a couple thing, and he was saying, she was never telling me these things, that she's going through all this. She was doing it, and I was like, okay, she's doing it because she wants to do it. Because I never asked her to do this. He never asked me to clean the clothes or do the laundry or do anything at home. But I was doing it and never asking for a help. And I was the one who was, because from 58 I went to 82 kgs. I have these body issues in my mind. I'm feeling my husband doesn't find me attractive anymore. I am not, he's not happy with me. And my counselor proved me sitting there that my husband loves me so much, and he's also missing me. And he is not able to communicate to me that he's missing me. He doesn't looking for the 58 kg Sonal. He's just looking for that Sonal whom he married, he loved. And that woman is missing right now because she has become a mother, and only a mother. And I forget in all the other roles in my life. So it's more about the partnership and everything. Then she talked about how, because she told me when you will overcome with the time, and she was giving me clarity in my life. And that's the reason I always emphasize it's very important to have a professional help, because your chachi, your nani, your mommy can only tell you from their experience. They don't have 100 people experience. They don't have that education backing them. They will be quite good friends and they can give you a very good advices, but for your customize you customize well-being, you customize solutions for life, only a counselor or a educated or the qualified person can give you. So she gave me what are my symptoms when I will spiral back and how to come back. So I'm not saying that 2014 I came out of it and I'm all good. It took me till 2015 to be normal, and after that still it happens many times. Even when COVID started, I was at home. I always been a very outgoing person. I like to meet my friends and have party and everything. And I couldn't do it for 2 months straight. And I was so depressed. I was crying. But she gave me a tool. She told me that you have to disconnect your brain from your body. And we will be like, what? How can we do that? Is it not possible? I cannot just take it out and keep it in a refrigerator to chill. So she told me, you have to go for a physical run. Go for a run. Do something so manually that your body is getting tired. When your body is getting tired, it will stop listening to your mind. Your mind will be given like, oh, you tired, you have to sit, you have to do it. And that is the moment when you realize, yes, you have to step back. It's okay. Everything in the world is okay, can be taken care of by the healthy mind. So you have to take care of your mind more than you do for your body, because body can gain weight, reduce weight. You can be happy even when you're 100 kilos, you can be happy when you're 50 kilos, but your brain is very important. You have to train it to be happy. You have to train it to find the positive in your life. Everybody has it. Everybody has a lot of positive, they have negatives also, but where to focus and how to replace your negativity with positivity. So when my decision making was very clouded, I didn't know what to do with myself. This counselor helped me to just vanish all these clouds from my mind, and I can see that strong Sonal again, who was very career oriented, who knew what she wants, and she can put her foot down and say, no, no, I don't want this. Yes, I want this. So that was my victory there when I said, and she told me, Sonal, nobody in this whole world can tell you what to do. It's you who is going to decide what you want to do. So it's very important. Even for after postpartum, I lost touch with myself. And with this counseling and with this medical help, I came out and realized what I wanted, and I went for it. And after 2015, there's no stopping for me. So I'm very thankful that at right time that GP has recognized the symptoms, sent me to the right person, and she able to help me to come out of it. Because I cannot imagine my life, what life I lived for 2 years. I could have not like continued like that.
Oh
It
my
would
God.
have not ended well if I've not met the right person.
Sonal, I can give you a tight hug, like, super tight hug right now, like a virtual, let's do a virtual hug right now. But honestly, it's, more than anything, it is such an empowering story, such an empowering journey that you have shared. And, thank you for being so unfiltered about it and, being honest about it. And, you know, just sharing it, because there are many aspects that you have touched upon, from the way we live our lives, the way we have our relationships, the way we think about ourselves, our physical self, our aspirations, right, the things that we want to do, and also things that go unspoken, like, if, like, asking for help, you would think like, I'll do this super fast, or you would not let go of certain things, right?
Exactly.
You want to be in control of, you're managing the house, you're managing the kid, you're managing the family, you're managing your career, you're also managing your health and all the other emotions that are going on in your mind, right? So it is so, like, I cannot be thankful enough, honestly, for sharing this. I am 1,000% sure that, everybody on this call today must be relating with at least one aspect of your story. I want to add quickly one thing. Indian Women's Circle actually started with this because I thought that I was having baby blues. So I was on my mat leave. My parents were there, for 1 or 2 months, and then they went back home, and I was all alone. And I was literally like this. I wanted to keep the house clean, and as soon as my baby would sleep, I would be like, "No, come on, cook the food, do the laundry, keep it, not, put this thing all nicely, and make something else, one more meal, do one more thing, right? Versus just sitting and relaxing." And that's when one day I thought, what? And I didn't have friends because I was new. I don't have any family here, and I was like, how hard it can be to find someone whom I can just talk to. And that's exactly one day, one night, I remember, I think it was 16th of August 2015. I created this group. I wrote actually that, I have a baby, I have a new mom, and I want to meet, and I want to talk about, and I wanted to be a little bit Indian thing, because, we can connect culturally, talking about, maybe home remedies, or the way we think about the baby, or our way of bringing up a baby, right? That's what was in my mind. And trust me, like, every time I did a meetup, I was motivated to do the next one, because when we left that meetup, it was like full of emotions, like, oh my God, I'm so relaxed, I'm not thinking about anything else, I'm talking about what, high heels or fashion, what, really? Or you're sipping your coffee uninterrupted, right? Like, these are little wins, right?
Exactly.
And
I totally relate to it. I understand, because in Australia, after my counselor meeting, she told me I have to find my group. And how I did, I went into the park where the similar age group kids are playing, and we started doing the play dates. And I made a group of like 8 women there. And every weekend we made like on a Friday or Thursday, we just take kids and moms and we do the picnic. So
yeah,
that's sisterhood, that connection. And especially when you're in a foreign country where you don't have your friends which you were maybe studying or college or work, you don't have those friends here who understand you, who know you. It's very important. The sisterhood, taking each other a step ahead, is very important.
absolutely. I always say two things. Like, my biggest takeaway is, like, let go of certain things. Like, think through it and let go of certain things. It could be literally, like you said, today don't fold the laundry. It doesn't matter. Do it tomorrow. And the second is ask for help. And actually, I'll add one more: find your tribe. I'm sure if you do a little bit of an effort, you will be able to find at least one person who will be there for you, or who can become your friend, or whom you can talk, right? Like, yesterday we were having a conversation on our group that, someone was saying that I was going through my contact list and I could not find one contact that I could call and just say some, what I was feeling. And it's heartbreaking, right? Like, you have, like, how many, what, 400-500 contacts in your list, and you can't call anyone. And as bad as it sounds, but I think it's still true that, it's easier to talk to a stranger. So be
100%.
really, like, IWC group. I just love it, because, we haven't even met in person. Many of us have not met in person, but I think when we talk to each other, we connect to each other through these events or comments, or, just answering each other's queries. That's a connection that we are making with each other. And at least we have someone or some place to go to. So Honestly, thank you so much for sharing this.
No
This
worries.
is
I'm glad that could share it using this forum, my favorite forum, where so many of us are there. Because see, end of the day, life is not that complicated. Life is what we made of. So,
absolutely.
in that note, we all went at some stage of our life, maybe sooner or later, similar kind of situation, similar kind of experience. If we can share and we can empower each other, there's no there's
Absolutely.
no bigger power than that.
Absolutely. And with that, I think it's a perfect timing for Sunita to chime in. Bring
Hi,
it in. Hi, Sunita.
hi everyone. Thank you, Sonal, for sharing your story. Thank you for your courage and your vulnerability.
Thank
Um, one thing that's really important is that we should be sharing our birth stories and we should be owning our birth stories and not going into the habit of comparing and not listening to when our family members or our community starts talking about someone else's birth stories and this happened and that happened. This is your life, and this is a life that you're going to begin with a new family, a new child. And it's also important to have the open communication with your husband, your spouse, from day one. The moment you find out that you're expecting, the communication must begin of this is a 100% partnership. How are we going to do this? How are we going to manage this? From my experience, I had the opposite. My husband was taught how to swaddle the baby. He was taught how to bring the baby to me for breastfeeding, to position the baby's mouth on the nipple. All those instructions were given to him. So for us, it worked. But still, even when everything seems to be perfect, there's things that happen because that is life. Life happens. So it comes down to loving yourself, checking in with yourself when you wake up in the morning. How am I feeling? And that question right there, how am I feeling? And it's okay to feel tired. It's okay to feel restless. It's okay to have a messy house, especially when you have a newborn baby. It's okay. You have a baby, you have a new person who's dependent on the mother, wanting all the attention. And that language, we need to talk more about it within our community and within our circles. For instance, when you have a friend that has brought the baby home and you go to see them, offer to wash the dishes, offer to take their garbage out, or do they need any groceries? Those little things, that support is so important to help a new family. Now, coming back to how do we work with our positive mindset. And when talking about positive mindset, is there random thoughts that come into your mind? We have, I have to do grocery lists. I have to cook. I have to do this. What do you do when you have thoughts coming in everywhere? And sometimes you can be driving, you can be walking. There's so many things, but everything just comes all at once. That's when you pause and you take a moment and you breathe. And what I mean by breathing is you take an exhale and connect to yourself. Is checking in. How am I feeling? Oh, I'm tired. I didn't have a good night's sleep. You know what? That's okay. I don't. What can I take off my list, my to-do list today? So that right there is a start of having the positive conversation with yourself. And then when you hear your negative conversation, you can go, aha, stop. You're not helping me. So I want to take it back to, we've seen it in cartoons, we've seen it in movies, the devil and the angel on our shoulders. So that's our mind. We have the good thoughts and the bad thoughts. And you can give it a name. You can find a name that you can actually like, I don't need you. You're not helping me. So it's starting with that and having self-love. And there's a couple of things that we can do for that is having a positive mindset, being compassionate and listening to your heart, being aware of your surroundings. Does my laundry need to be folded up? Do I need anything like that? And I'm going to confess right now, there are times where I didn't have clean underwear. I went to the store and I bought some clean underwear because I didn't have time for it. This was the last thing, but it was the one little thing that made my day. And also being at home with a baby, it became very tiring. I want to change. I'm a very sociable person, and we all know winters in Toronto. It's cold. There's a blizzard. You feel isolated, and so that's when you check in with yourself. What's something that I can do that brings me joy? And I love flowers. I love flowers, and I went to the grocery store, bought myself some flowers, planted it where I see it all the time. And looking at that brought me joy. And also the scent fills the room, and you're just reminded. So these little things you can do, but it comes back to checking in with yourself. It's doing breathing. Breathing also lets the stress out, the heaviness that we carry in our heart for whatever reason it may be. And sometimes we have our family members, we have our community, we have our friends that say silly things. That silly things can become toxic. And then we hold it in here and you're stuck. What do you do with that? Breathe and movement. So, one thing I love to do, and it helped me with my baby at times, it was very hard to put her to sleep. I put on music and I just danced with my baby, got her relaxed, but it was also the movement and it made me feel good. It took out whatever stress that was sitting inside me out, and I found joy. I love to sing to my baby. Well, now she's 8 years old, and I still continue to sing. I'll have conversations in a sing along. That's how I manage my stress. That's how I manage anything that I'm not sure how to deal with it. So the singing and dancing and the movement is so important for you to remove the emotions, remove the thoughts, remove the words, whether it be social media, Facebook, magazine, a phone conversation. It doesn't need to sit in your body, because when it sits in your body, it becomes a burden. And you don't need that burden. And no drama. So that comes to that self love. And what are the ways that you can bring self love? Well, that comes back to checking in with yourself to see what brings me joy, and what's something that I can do that is for me and it's my time. Sometimes it could be, like, for me, I like to light up candles in the morning because light, and it's my spirituality, to have the diya or the light, but it also connects me to always have the light within me shining. And if it's scented, sure, why not? So it begins with, just like lighting a candle from IKEA, the big bag of candles. I buy it, and every day I'm lighting a candle. Sit down and I connect with my hand on my chest. Because in life, we have smartphones and iPads, and we're always doing something with our hands. We're always disconnecting from ourselves, and we forget to connect. So the best thing you can do, place your palm on your chest and breathe. Check in with yourself. How am I feeling today? And let it go with your exhale. Inhale, fresh energy. You're bringing life. Life begins with breath. So you're bringing in energy. Exhale, you're removing CO2, carbon dioxide. You're removing any stress or anything in your heart. And that's also shifting that negative energy that's within you. I also like to do yoga, so I'll do that in the morning, and I do tapping, and I'm going to demonstrate something right now. Anytime you're feeling stressed, not sure, indecisive, it's emotional freedom tapping. Left hand, we have this karate chop. Use your fingertips from your right hand and tap. And this right here is you're making a connection, and you just start breathing, and you can create a prayer, you can create a positive statement. Even though I'm tired, I am so happy and grateful to be here with my family. I am happy and grateful for my health. I am happy and grateful for my family's health. And you can tap, and then you can say, today I will have a magical day. And I decide, what do I want in my day? I want a day full of love and laughter. I want to have a 10-minute nap if I can get into it. And you know what? I may not do that laundry, but that's okay. And that right there is shifting everything. And it's a meridian point, according to Chinese medicine. So there's a shift. And when you do that, you may, at times, you might yawn. That's a release of energy. You might burp. That's a release of energy. There's movement. And that just releases. It's a release. So that's one way of tapping into yourself, checking in with yourself, and how am I feeling today? What is it that I can do to make my life better? And the big takeaway from here is communication. Talk to your spouse, talk to your family, and say, I need your help. It's been a day full of struggles. We've had sleeping issues. I haven't eaten. And sometimes there were days where I did not have a chance to go into the shower. And I had many days where my husband would leave for work and I was sitting on the couch breastfeeding. And then 9 hours later, he'd come back and he'd be like, did you leave? I'm like, no, we're dealing with a growth spurt. She's feasting. And you know what? That's okay. And we made little changes like that, getting tiffin service, catering. When we knew these times were coming and it was busy, we made the choices to help us. I got a cleaning lady, tiffin service, good, yummy food, whatever you like, bring it in. It's so important to bring joy back into your life and not to forget that light within you.
Thank you so much, Sunita. This is just so beautiful. Like, it's therapeutic, actually. it's really, really nice to hear these things. And I'll share like something like, again, I think it is the way we've been raised. We've never talked about these things, as such, like you do the affirmations, for examples, or try to set intention at the beginning of your day, or have a specific routine in the beginning of the day just for your own self, right? And I'm not saying it for everyone, but I think this is becoming more and more popular nowadays, like last couple of years probably. And so it's an effort from our side that needs to happen, right? Like if I need to, like, I struggle waking up in the morning because I'm probably a night person. So every day my alarm still rings at 6 a.m., but I'm not up at 6. But I'm trying. So I really, really liked how you explained very tiny things, touching upon what makes you happy, what brings you joy. Identify those things. And I've also actually gone to the store and bought flowers for myself, like red roses, big bunch, like 24, 30 flowers, because I just wanted them. I don't know why, I just wanted them. I bought it. And you're so right. I was so happy the whole day. Every time I walked past it, I was like, wow, I have these flowers, so beautiful, the smell is so nice and it looks nice in the house and all of that. So these little tiny things make such a big difference. And again, I'm going to tie it back to our mental health, that, mom or not mom, during pregnancy, post-pregnancy, these things contribute to our mental health, right? So very, very important. And thank you so much, for sharing. And we're getting some awesome comments. One of the comments is when you were talking about the light within it, you like to light the diya. There is like, keep the light within shining. It's so beautiful, Sunita. That's what it is coming. And with that, I will ask one question that we have from our audience. And any one of you can take it. So the question is, thoughts on how to communicate to the elders that you need space. I knew you would be perfect for it. In Indian culture, everyone wants to help and be around, which can be very tough to manage mentally.
I experienced that, and it was, and I shared this story with you ladies. It actually started when I was in labor. Every woman's birth story is different, and at that time, I actually loved the sound of my mother's churi and payal. And any elders in my family, the churis and payal, it's comfort. It takes me back to my childhood. It's comfort, the stroking on the head. But when I was in labor and I had contractions, the churi drove me nuts. And it was just, I can't deal with it. I can't deal with this. My poor husband took it upon him. And we were just, oh my goodness, oh no, what are we gonna do? But we were in labor, and he was brave enough, and so that was step number one. And then when the baby came home, and I know they were so happy and they wanted their input, and I appreciate the elders' ancient wisdom. We're so lucky as South Asians that there's so much ancient wisdom that it's here that a lot of us have forgotten about it, but the West is bringing out about it. I'm so grateful and thankful to do the malish on my daughter, and it's amazing. But at the same time, when I came home, I was my mother's daughter and I needed her to look after me. But she was so happy to be a nanny that she focused all her energy on the baby that I think at one point I was like, Mom, why am I making the doll? You're supposed to make it for me, like crying and everything. And I have a brother that was supportive, whom my mother listened to, and I had to reach out to him and said, "We're really having a hard time. She keeps taking the baby away, and I need to bond with the baby, and that's really important as a new mother. The baby stays with mother, and the birthing mom needs her mom to support her. So it was tough. My mom was very angry at me. Every now and then, she might bring it up, but now we make it into a joke. But she understood it, and years later, now she looks at, now I get the compliment. You're a good mother, and you did really well, better than me. So it's tough, it's hard, but at the end of the day, for your own sanity, for your energy, it has to be done because your baby feeds on energy. They don't understand words. So if the mother is in a positive state and it's in a good energetic place, then the baby will be energetic. It's tough. I've done it. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. But it's important to speak up because that is your health. And don't be afraid because everyone has a birth story and they have something else to share.
Absolutely, absolutely, so rightly said. Oh my God. And so many comments are pouring in as well. I'll read one of it. Like, very rightly said, we don't often ask for help or order the food outside. We feel it's not much work, we can do it. But we don't realize it's more work from chopping, cooking, cleaning, and everything, right? Like, it's like you're doing 2, 3 roles at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is tough, but amazing perspective, honestly. I'll bring all of us together again. And we are almost at the end of our event, but I would just ask, like, if anybody wants to add anything before we wind up.
I just
So
want to
one,
add one
oh, go
thing.
ahead.
Oh, sorry, Simla, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say about other things. Again, bringing our parents in, and because of the pandemic, I get a lot of women. I mean, I haven't seen so much tears in my life than I saw in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Many things, I've lost my so and so back home because of COVID, and every day this my clinic is always running like a 2 hours behind because these women are all really, really worried and anxious. And the other thing they're anxious is, oh, I can't bring my parents from India. What am I going to do? What support am I going to have, right? And I always keep telling them, maybe it's for good. Maybe it's for good. You people, you can, it's always nicer to have parents here to help, but honestly speaking, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably better that you don't get anybody, because it's a bonding time, a family bonding time. This is the time maybe your husband will roll up his sleeves and get into action, right? And help you, and because he has no choice than to help you. And it's not even help. I shouldn't use the word help, because he's a dad. He has to take responsibility for that also. And that is how the conversations should start. And please do not get anxious if you can't get people from back home. Of course, it's nicer, but it's not the end of the world. We can do it. You guys can do it. And the second thing is breastfeeding, which Sonal touched on. Oh, I'm having inadequate milk. I'm a bad mother. I personally have that experience also. I mean, I have 2 kids also. When not everybody produces enough milk. Of course, we have to supplement them with formula. At the end of the day, fed is best. I keep telling my women there's nothing more in that breast milk than your mental health for your baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to supplement them with bottle. And if people just tell you something, you just say, okay, it's my baby, my life, I'm going to take care of it, and that's fine. And if somebody says something you don't want to upset them, just say okay, and then move on and do whatever you want to do, right? If you don't want to confront them, you don't want to get into trouble or whatever, then that's okay. Just say fine, and then just do what you want to do for your baby. If you can't have enough breast milk, that's okay. You don't have to kill yourself. If you can't cook for your family, that's okay. They're still going to live. Nobody's going to die because you did not cook, right? And things are going to happen. That's the most important thing. That mindset that we have to develop right from the start. And right now, I understand how difficult it is to involve the husbands, because the husbands are not allowed in for the prenatal appointments.
Mm-hmm.
So I always ask my patients, put him on the speakerphone, put him on a video call while we are talking, so he's involved. Also, and that is I see how difficult it can be for them to be connected to the pregnancy because they're not being inside for the prenatal appointments. But that's okay. Get them involved right from the start, right? I mean, it's okay not to have mums and dads around. We will survive. But it's just that you have to set your boundaries and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and I expect you to do this. And that's fine. And it's okay not to be okay also. Have that
Mhm.
conversation. Come out, talk to people. And somebody said here that, I'm here for you guys. I mean, I always ask my patients, okay, who are you going to leave your first child with when you're coming in for labor? And they go, well, we have, I don't know, we have some friends. And I go, amazing. It's fine. See, that's how we move on. Let's just
Mhm.
make connections and move.
Absolutely.
On that, yeah,
Go ahead, Sonal. Go ahead. Go ahead.
on that point, I want to add, because this is something my counselor taught me about husbands. So she said, see, all the changes, everything happening in your body, you getting prepared to be a mother, but who's preparing your husband to be dad? What Sunita got, that her husband also got ready to be a dad. Many times in Indian society, men are not getting ready to be a dad. So it's onto us that we have to communicate. We have to tell them that as a dad, this will be the expectation. We have to be on a common ground. And when the in-laws thing happened, because it's easy to communicate to your own mother. You can say, Mama, that's it. But no, you cannot do that. So for the in-laws, it's very important if your husband is on board with you. Your husband is the one who can say, yes, Mama, no, no, that's it. We don't want more. Or you can be very polite about it, or you can just, many people will come and they will say hundred of things. It should not matter to you because that person is not that important for you. And because you choose to approve your mental health, you choose, you're putting yourself first and you're loving yourself. That is called loving yourself, when you
Mhm.
are not giving any thought or any importance to these unwanted thoughts around you, because they will be. You cannot control the people around you, but you can control yourself.
Yeah.
Be empowered, be very confident that you can take care of yourself and you can say no, and you can
Absolutely.
say it in your mind, or if you have courage you can say it out loud, but it's up to you to choose that I don't want to do this.
Absolutely.
This is my
Absolutely.
baby. I want to bond like this. I want to sleep at this time. I want to do that. And believe me, don't stress yourself that your baby is not feeding themselves and they're already 1.5 year old. We all learned. By the time we are 4 or 5, we already eating by ourselves. It's not a problem if they are in diaper and they are 3 years old. They will come out of it eventually. They will
Absolutely.
leave the bottles. Women, I can't not emphasize more. Please, please, please take care of these little ones. Are very intelligent, very, very. I will say they are highly evolved person than we are. They understand everything, and with time, they will leave everything. Okay,
Absolutely.
so just
Absolutely.
take care of yourself. When they see their happy mama, they will be happy kids, and they will be doing the things you can even not imagine. So for their
Absolutely.
sake, please be happy, please be empowered, and communicate to your spouse, which is the most important thing, because talking to your friend is good, but she will not come to your house. She will not able to help you in the way you need the help at that time. Talk to your spouse. That is very important, and go for the professional help. If you
Mhm.
don't want to share with your mom or with your in-laws or your husband that you need a professional help, it's okay. You go yourself. When you take a decision for yourself, you are already empowered, and that professional help will set your success, not for just coming 1 or 2 years, for your life.
Mhm.
Don't be shy. Go ahead, ask for the help.
It's always nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Sona. And you know what I have also seen is that, we are not in India, we are here. So it's different here. The way things happen here, the appointments that has happened. Like in one hospital, you'll get, let's say, a different obstetrician every single time you go for your checkups. In one, you can get like the same person. So you get comfortable with them, right? Or when you talk to friends or in your circle, or maybe in event like this, right, you come to know certain things that you can, there is counseling just for this, just to take care of my mental health. And something like I came to know about a Peel Region clinic that actually provides I think it was like 6 or 7 weeks class for parents.
Yeah.
So, right, I think I can't recall the name of that workshop, but basically it's like a parenting workshop where you both go as a couple, and they tell you this is what's gonna happen, this is what's gonna happen, this is how the baby is gonna come out, this is what you need to do, this is how you will hold it, this is how you'll breastfeed it. And then there are clinics for helping you with breastfeeding, and lactation consultants are there, the nurses are there, all of these things are there. So all I mean to say is that there is help. You have to reach out, and don't hesitate, don't hesitate to think that you need help, and ask for it. Maybe just take some guidance, talk to your doctor. You can actually talk to your OB about it. You can tell them that I'm not feeling this, or I'm feeling this way, right? Like all of that thing will help us some way or the other. We have one more question, Dr. Nirmala. It's for you. So this came on our group, actually. I'll ask one of the question. It's more related to the vaginal birth after cesarean. I think there are many myths about, you need to have natural birth. This is the perfect way, or you should not have cesarean, or don't take epidural, or once you've had cesarean, you cannot go for natural birth, or you have natural birth, then you can go for cesarean. Lots of things. So the question actually is that what are some of the key points to consider and ask when choosing an OB who is supportive of vaginal birth after cesarean? So I guess the point is touching base on all of that. So if you can answer this one, that would be great.
For sure. Okay. First of all, I don't think there will be any doctor that can force you to have a C-section or a vaginal birth, one or the other, right? And I can't think of any doctors that actually would not support you for a vaginal birth after cesarean section. That being said, the most important thing to consider is, it's not everybody is a candidate for a trial of labor after cesarean section. There's a lot of things to be considered. First of all, why did you need a previous cesarean section? Okay, did you actually have certain pregnancy complications and end up with a preterm section, or did you get to a full dilatation and they tried delivering the baby and then it didn't happen and you ended up having a section? What kind of section was it? How big was the baby? What's your interpregnancy interval? What are your medical conditions, if any? Like, you may have high blood pressure. Like, I'm a high risk obstetrician, which means I deal with mostly complicated pregnancies, high blood pressure, diabetes, for instance. So lots of things that come into play when you actually decide someone is a good candidate for a trial of labor. As I said, you have to be your own advocate, and your doctor has to be your health advocate. So again, there comes conversation. So you can always ask them, okay, I'd like to try for a vaginal delivery, and this is my history, and what are some things that I can think of. I don't think anybody will say, no, once a C-section, always a C-section. We have moved on from that. We have totally moved on from that. That being said, certain cesarean sections, certain obstetricians are a little worried because you don't, especially with Indian women who come from India, they don't bring an operative record. We don't know what happened when they had a C-section. And I actually remember offering a vaginal delivery, and everything was organized. She goes into labor, and then she actually gets hold of her operative record and brings it to the labor ward. And my colleague actually calls me and says, did you actually look at the operative record? And I go, no. Why? And she said, there is a contraindication for her to have a C-section for a vaginal delivery. So if we don't have an operative record, we actually encourage them to try, But then there are risks that can happen during a trial of vaginal delivery, which we have to be cognizant about. Like, there is a 1 in 200 chance of the uterus being a weak part at the point where we cut the uterus, opening up. That's called as a uterine rupture, right? And it is a 1 in 200 chance, but it is there. And, there is midwifery, there is obstetricians. And once things go wrong, it comes to us, basically. And 1 in 200 is a very small number, but It is catastrophic if it happens. So that is why we watch them very, very carefully whilst they are in labor. And that is why choosing the right candidate is important. And there are many things. And again, what applies to your friend might not be applicable to you. And that is why Dr. Google shouldn't play a part in any of your medical care, because Dr. Google doesn't know you. It's your doctor that knows you, right? And somebody else would have had a successful vaginal delivery. That's fine, but your baby is a kilogram more than hers. You might have diabetes, or you might have hypertension, or you might have a small baby. So your labor is different from hers, and your baby is different from hers, right? And the most important thing is to have a very open mind and talk to your OB. Just tell them, yes, I'm very keen in trying for a vaginal delivery, and have that counseling. I always say counseling is important before you go into labor. And many a times I actually say, okay, you want a C-section, fine, I'll book you for one. But what if you go into spontaneous labor before then? Let us have that conversation, because you can't have that rational conversation when a woman is in pain. So you might as well want to think out all those things. Okay, that's fine. I've been traumatized by my last delivery. I'm going to go for a C-section. But what happens if I go into labor before then? So talk to your obstetrician. There are contraindications, and there are big, big advantages of trying for a vaginal delivery. And unless you talk to them and say how keen you are in attempting a vaginal delivery, at the end of the day, it's your body. It should be your choice. We can't decide for you. We can only tell you from a professional standpoint. And even when they had complicated pregnancies, some women have been very, very confident that they can do it. And in that case, sometimes we increase the surveillance for them, like come every second day. I want to check you. I want to look at your baby, and then we'll see what happens in the next week or so. So there is a place for a vaginal delivery. There is a place for cesarean section. Cesarean section is not a failure. Vaginal delivery is not all success. So it is important to know that you should be proud of yourself however you deliver. Doesn't matter. A vacuum, forceps, C-section, vaginal delivery, your body has gone through a tremendous amount of change. And I was actually teaching my 16-year-old as to what physiological changes that happen during pregnancy. And her jaw just dropped onto the floor. That's how much your body goes through during pregnancy. Don't pressurize yourself, thinking this is how I want to deliver. However you deliver, at the end of the day, healthy mother, healthy baby. That's all we care. And how we achieve that, very much secondary, honestly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for answering that. And with that, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for, first of all, joining me here, taking out time and supporting this cause. As moms, we have so much to take care of, and my attempt was to just start these conversations, sharing our stories, just sharing, how much help is available or what we can do, even if it's simple things that we can do on our part to take care of our mental health. So I'm very, very happy that we were able to do this event and have this conversation. I am so sure the number of comments that we have got, it proves that people are able to relate to our conversation. And I'm sure if it can help one person also, I think, we'll serve our purpose of starting these conversations and, helping in some way or the other. So thank you so much, Dr. Nirmala, Sonal, and Sunita, for sharing such amazing things, insights, suggestions, and things that can help us.
Thanks a lot, Neha, for taking this initiative. And thanks a lot, Dr. Nirmala and Sunita, for being amazing self. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. That's actually a really, really good cause. And as I said, a very untreaded path, Neha. Well done. And I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And my last, we're still getting the comments. Great information, great informational session. And thank you. Thank you, all of you. Yes, all these comments are pouring in. To everybody who joined us live today, thank you so much for joining. I hope you found, the whole conversation relatable, and some way or the other, it's going to help you. So thank you for joining, and thank you again to my favorite guests now for today. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me, everyone. Bye-bye.